Okay, so while we're waiting for parts on the 74, here's some other stuff I work on once in a while. I don't do a lot of it, just a little bit each year. Is in the snowmobile world, I had a very good reputation, and I enjoyed helping guys get performance without spending a pile of money out of their snowmobiles. And so it's kind of fun. So this is an 800cc triple engine. Stock would be about 155 horsepower. With my porting on stock pipes and stock carbs, otherwise a stock machine, bring the heads down 10 thousandths. I would like to see 170 to 175 horsepower for the trail, but because of how two-strokes work, quality of gas, quality of air, you might be 165, you might be 180. It all depends on where you're at and how the day is. But regardless of the dyno numbers, this porting makes this engine absolutely, I will say, pissed off. It just wants to run. And so what I do, is you get the top half of the case. So remember, on a two-stroke, your piston comes down. All that air gets shoved into the crankcase and then shoved back up the crankcase into the cylinder and then in through them port windows to the top of the piston. So all we're doing is making it a whole lot easier for that air to move. And so you can see here's what the finished product size will be. So we got all this material to remove on these port openings, and this is water up here, so we don't care about that. Just these couple sides, and then we're looking at every little thing like this line, that casting flaw. We'll clean that up. We don't want air hitting that. The tops of these transfer ports, you can see some of the roughness, the porosity up there, and there's a lip coming in. So we'll deburr that and smooth that up just a little bit. Since it's a trail kit, we're not trying to polish the heck out of it. One of them I had to really work. Here's a finished one. So you can see I kind of had to polish them up a little bit. If we were trying to make an actual race engine, this stuff would almost look like it's chrome. You just have it so mirror finish. So we open all that up. We really open that up. And then on the exhaust side, there's kind of between this outside and you go in just a whisker, there's actually a change in the casting. So we smooth that up and then really try to smooth this casting up. So we're just looking at air movement. But that's where a lot of work is. So we get in there on that triple port. We kind of knife edge that piece way down inside here. We sharpen that up. We open that up a little bit. And then inside on the cylinders, so that port there. So the main exhaust port, we bring up some, or I bring up some. I don't like to widen it out because on a trail sled, we don't want to go wide because that's hard on rings. We can gain a tremendous amount of power by coming up. And we're only talking, 50, 60 thousandths at the very most to bring that roof up, maybe closer to 40 thousandths. But this side port will bring him closer to the main port, and then we bring him up 30 or 40 thousandths. So I don't know if you can compare one that's not done. You look at the distance between the two ports versus one that's done. Again, you're only moving it, 20, 30 thousandths at the most to the inside. And that gives us a little more timing on the exhaust. And it gives us a lot more surface area for that exhaust gas to move. On the port windows, a little goes a long ways. And these aren't four strokes. I see guys do it all the time. They just jack compression through the roof, throw a ton of timing at it, and just hog stuff out, and you have an absolute turd. And then these are variable exhausts. And so what that does is that guillotine sits in here, and then So you can kind of see that guillotine there. And then as the engine revs, gains RPM, he'll slide out of the way, and it changes your port timing. So it gives you a lot more low end and mid range horsepower. But when they're all the way open, now that we've really opened stuff up, because you can see on a finished cylinder, that area down there, a lot of guys will port, and they'll just port that leading edge coming into the cylinder. And they're like, oh, I raised it, a millimeter. Look at me go. I'm a porter. But the second that air moves a 1/16 of an inch into the port opening, it's right back to stock. So I take this whole land, I move this whole lip up the same amount. So we're actually opening up ports. We're not just making it look big by beveling edges. We're really opening things up. Like here, you see we grind way on in there, and on the edges, you're working way down into that cylinder. And so we might have to take this valve and you trim the tip, and you bring this whole lip up that 20-30 thousandths as well. So when he's open all the way, it's a smooth transition, because that guillotine sits. It's a smooth transition for the gas to come over this land, over that guillotine, and out that main port. And so, yeah, it doesn't go too bad. I got just some little diamond burrs and stones and sanding drums, and then just this little hand piece, oversized dental tool, and then this. And it's just a variable speed little motor that on a tack, you just got a tack drive cable basically. I think it's like, up to 10,000 RPM or whatever. And then the motor can go both clockwise and counterclockwise, because depending on what bit you have, you might need to go both ways. And so, all right, guys.